$35 hour and still broke. 31 years of age now. Been working full-time since I was 16 years old. Never had the privilege to formally educate myself. I would go homeless otherwise. Rent is about $25,000 a year for my 800 square feet apartment. There is no end to the abuse. I spent my whole 20s bootstrapping and having faith in a system that only takes and does not give. I've never left my state once since I cannot afford a vacation, never been on vacation and have always chose to work since I would drown otherwise. I want my life back. I don't even know what that means cause I've been sold a lie and I'm having trouble returning this propaganda. I'm afraid I'm going to snap any day now and just quit. Probably end up on the streets. It's obviously what I was destined to become. I hate it here. USA is a shithole country. Edit. This post was very emotionally driven obviously and lacks context. I make about $50,000, $55,000 a year depending on certain variables. I do have a car loan that runs me about $600 a month. Insurance included. I pay about $12,000 in federal state taxes annually. Sales tax is about 10 here, adding greedflation on top of that really makes essentials sky high. I'm talking about gasoline, groceries, utilities, ect. I do in fact have a dependent, my partner. We're not married. They have not been able to work for a few years now since March of 2020. It's a personal domestic issue 100 and is being handled as seriously carefully as I possibly can. I am very grateful to have been able to climb as far as I have, but I can see I am far from thriving and it continues to get worse. Edit 2. I expected people to dig through my post history. Thank you for noticing my hobby. The retro gaming community is very strong here in LA SoCal and I've acquired a lot of my collections from trading, connections, and community work. I live and breathe this hobby, it keeps me alive. Terrible, isn't it? $35 hour would allow me to just live comfortably on my own where I am. Currently making $15 hour and yeah. I can't afford to live on my own or much else. This shit is stupid. $35 an hour is the new minimum wage, bro. My parents bought a house with a Domino's delivery salary in the 90s. It's time to stop the elites. Wage war is necessary. Stop being divided. Shit, have you made $35 an hour where I'd live, you'd be living high on the hog. Only problem, not jobs pay that here without some kind of formal training in the field. $35 an hour is just short of $72,000. In the state I live, it's considered low income. Yep, I said that. It's weird to make this much and be considered low income. My guy, what do you do for work? Lol. All y'all saying leave California. And then have to deal with the regressive mouth breathers that make the laws in the states with decent mortgage rates. I'm a flaming forget and don't see myself moving to TN or GA any fucking time soon. Much less live in any other flyover state where the nearest grinder hookup is over 20 miles away with some 50 years old meth mouth with a double wide. Except you are not broke. Took a look at your other posts and you aren't living a time to save lifestyle. Really cool game room, and the apartment looks nice. Those aren't things broke people have. I'm not sure what your debt to income looks like, but you may need to reset, spend some time helping the truly needy, and invest in yourself through skill and knowledge building. I make about $30 an hour, slight fluctuations depending on what position I work. 30 years ago my dad made the same wage and was able to buy a brand new 2-story house in a nice neighborhood in Southern California and raise 3 kids as a single father. We weren't well off or anything, but we had what we needed. Today that same wage doesn't even let me rent a room 15 minutes away from the house I grew up in. It's pretty simple, too much wealth in the hands of too few. Universal basic income is the answer and actually taxing the rich. It's insane that I pay a higher tax rate than the richest billionaires in the world. If you're looking for an interesting read on the topic, check out Utopia for Realists: The Case for a Universal Basic Income. I make around $35 an hour. My property tax only is $900 a month. My mortgage on a $250,000 house that's starting to fall apart is around $1,100. I need roommates to make things work. Stay away from New Jersey. I saw your post on your arcade room. Fucking hell. You have money. Your entire place is massive with a ton of arcade stuffs that's well beyond what the majority of Americans can afford. This post smells like the one about the self-made woman whose parents built her a $100,000 tiny home she could live in, paid for all her living expenses, made $60,000 a year working for her dad's company, only managed to save $7,500 for a down payment on a 3 mortgage for a house. That's pretty much OP in a nutshell, it seems. Took a peek at Op's profile and it looks like they got killer house filled with collectible toys, PlayStation and games. Does not look like broke at all. Right now, everyone's jobs are adjusted to maintain landlords on the top of the food chain. If people start getting paid better salaries, then politicians will probably set up policies to make landlords get the money you are working so hard to get. Neo-feudalism is what it seems the USA is aiming for. Why are you paying $2,100 a month for a napped? Holy shit. I make $27 an hour and live perfectly fine with rent that's $1,700 a month. Live within our means, end of discussion. Oh my god, reading these comments, we're never gonna be free. I'm a nurse and I don't make $35 an hour. It sounds like you need to move. I have $42,000 left on my student loans, dispute paying on them for 20 years. 35 by 40 by 52, 72,800. Even after rent and taxes, you should still have $30,000 per year. What are you spending that other $2,500 month on to make you broke? Truth. Living here in North Carolina, house payment $900 for 1,000 square feet. Got lucky 2019, bought this place for $107,000 before it all blew up, now it's worth $190,000. Had to get out of renting, went up every year. Hubs makes $52,000 a year, I make $17,000 and we still live paycheck to paycheck. We are old, been doing this almost 35 years. It's only getting harder. Without knowing anything about your financial situation besides rent, this post is a shit post. You could have blown most of your money when you were younger, or made a couple bad investments you're still paying for. You could owe child support, or have a huge gambling addiction. Literally anything could explain your situation, but this sub is eating this post up without asking the most basic questions. This is a pretty popular sentiment in this sub, and others, but politicians should be required to live like the poorest of their constituents, minimum wage, and unable to invest in stocks or take funding, especially from companies. It's really the corruption that is so upsetting. Capitalism is ridiculous. Hate to say this, but it's across the board. As a resident MD, I made like $17 an hour basically. On my days off I would moonlight extra shift elsewhere in hospital for $100 an hour. This allows me some wiggle room and a taste of what's basically 1-3 attending rate for basically doing the same job. However, I'm taxed like a Rockefeller. We're exploited at all levels of employment. I feel for you. I make $35 an hour, work non-stop and still live home getting by. I don't see any changes until my parents pass away and pass down the money house. The American dream doesn't exist anymore. Try the overemployment section. Might get you caught up and back to living where you want to be in no time. Feel you. Shouldn't you make closer to $70,000 at $35 an hour? You could try your hand at being a hobosexual. Lots of well-off cougars and saber-toothed tigers round your way. Lots. Save up and leave California.